IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles.
Miss Max.
Razor.
Wrong.
Hey, are you ready? You gonna be having a seat? You gotta get up, man, and ready. Come on, y'all.
No,
firing squad, man. Where my firing squad?
Hey, so when you wearing a fedora like that, you can't get straight up. It's uncivilized. You gotta take your time.
Whose house? Hey, Ron's.
Hey, Ron. You know, Queens. It's Queen's house.
Welcome back. Oh, Queens. I shouldn't did that.
Yeah, I don't even know why you got him started.
Queens, new Queens.
I was like, Lord, here we go.
But thank y'all for joining us. Thank y'all for staying tuned. Could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. You know how to reach us, IMHO Talk Show online. And during the breaks, please hit us up, 434-422-9101 on this election weekend. Tuesday, November 5th, 2019. Coming up, if you have it within your rights and your ability, go vote. If you need to cast absentee, you do that. Need transportation, call Razor.
Yes, indeed.
Do that.
Like my money on time, though.
And without further ado, for this hour, for the top of this hour, we have a Charlottesville City Council candidate, a young man who is not a stranger to this area, moved away and came back, and he's here for a reason. Bellamy Brown. How you doing, Mr. Brown?
Pretty good. How are you?
Mr. Brown.
Doing well.
Mr. Brown. Is your knees ashy, Mr. Brown?
Mr. Brown.
Is your knees and the elbows ashy, Mr. Brown?
Sometimes.
I never know because the brother always in a suit, so I never see these elbows. Now, so Bellamy. So a lot of people have heard the name, seen the face. Go ahead, and sort of give your story of your road leading up to wanting to run for council.
Yeah. So as you mentioned earlier, I'm from here. Was here up until I was 14. Went through the school system here. Grew up over in 12th and Rasa area of the neighborhoods, predominantly black. Goes all the way to the back of West Haven. I mean, that's what I consider to be our black neighborhood. Like I said, my dad took us out of here after my sophomore year at CHS, and went to the Marines after that, and did school in political science and finance, and had been working in the DC area for some time. And then when 2016 election came up, I was looking to get back into the space because I had studied in undergrad and thought about doing it, but I was looking to go north. I wasn't, Charlottesville wasn't on the radar until August, 2017 happened, and I heard all the stories from family and friends and stuff, and just, the whole thing in general. That's what prompted me to change direction from going north to come back home and, roll up the sleeves and put in the work for our community. I think even now, you have the Democratic slated tickets, but I can't see anywhere where, specifically with the heart of the African American community, that's a focus of being taken care of. Whereas, for me, like, I'm still, even though I've been blessed to be in this position right now, I'm still that that young kid who grew up with his parents on a $26,000 salary with 3 boys. So we were poor. We didn't have anything. And I think there are a lot of people in our community who are still trying to get that economic come up, and I'm here to help help that happen.
Nice. Appreciate that.
Sound like a man of faith.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's how you introduce yourself. Yeah, for sure. So the issues, so I hear your story. Mm-hmm. You're familiar with the area, but give us the rundown of the issues that you see are most prevalent in Charlottesville to why someone should cast their vote and put their trust in you to make a difference in Charlottesville.
So, I mean, everybody's talking about, the affordable housing and the transit, and those are obviously, 2 big things. But, when I was going knocking on the doors in the black neighborhoods, I would hear about, our kids, our youth not having the developmental and recreational activities. I would still hear, that, we're not being taken care of. And that bothered me. So I started, digging in more and obviously it's not having the jobs and the things to be able to, compete in this changing economy that's going on. So, for me, when we've gone from 50% African American down to 19%, and the way I see everything working right now, it's only going to get worse unless we actually get into the game. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm here. I mean, I'm focusing on working on the community as a whole, but my heart is specifically in the black space, to where I don't want to see us go from 19% down to 10%. I want to get some people who, want to get in and, and they're out there, they want those jobs. I mean, you have a demand for, vocational jobs and electrician and plumbing. That's across the board. Why we haven't amplified that to get our people into that particular space, I don't know. To say that our people can't get into some of these tech jobs that are coming on the scene, that to me that's foreign. I mean, I've gone to school with people that are, some of the top engineers that are out, black engineers that are out there. I've worked with people in the black space that are doing these jobs. So to say that we can't do it, that doesn't resonate for me.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You ready? Here we go.
Never say yes when he starts with that, Bellamy.
Yes, indeed. All right. There is a huge opinion that because of you being a Marine and you being into finance, that you are only sugarcoating yourself with independent because you're really a Republican. How do you answer that?
Where's the proof? I mean, if you talk about, being in finance, you talk about money. If you look at, Senator Warner, he came out of a finance background. He went to Harvard Business School. It was money all day long. If you talk about, service to country, you got a number of Democratic folk that have served to the country. So that to me is something that people can't label me. And so that's what they try to put out there to make people afraid of it. But I mean, to say that black folk can't serve in the military or we can't be in finance or get money, that to me is BS. I'm running as an independent because I don't want to get, caught up in politics. I'm here to do the work, again, for our community that hasn't been done. We are in a space to where if we aren't moving, like right now, the way this economic trajectory is happening, we're going to be left behind. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to kind of dovetail on the back of what Razor just said, because when you think about running for election, especially a political one, right?
Yeah.
Running and then actually winning, I'm sure you're facing a lot of judgment right now. People are judging you, and just allow me to kind of break this down. So people are judging you for being a man, for being a black man, for being light-skinned on both sides, right? No, seriously, black people are judging you. They will judge you based on that.
Yeah.
You lived here, so you have some ties with the community, so they're judging your childhood and your family.
Yeah.
The fact that you left, so now you're too good, right?
Yeah.
You're facing judgment on all sides, Republican or Democrat.
They do that with the chief.
All of those things. So winning, right, doesn't cut the noise out.
Yeah.
And so how do you think you could be most effective and really help this city move along and maneuver through all of that noise or shut it out in order to work best for its residents?
Well, so for me, I mean, I do a lot of stuff. A lot of the deals, a lot of negotiations I've made have been through relationships, and I've built relationships. I mean, I had existing ones, when my dad took us out here. I've come back, I've rebuilt those, and I continue to build those. And what we see on the front isn't always what's happening behind the scenes. So for me, it's really, building those relationships with the key players that we can, build a coalition to really drive something forward. This isn't going to be done all on my watch. It's going to take, I guess, a village, so to speak. It's going to take our community, buying into, what I have to offer and moving things forward there. And from the start of this campaign to where I am now, I've seen our community galvanize toward that end. So I have no doubt that I will continue to galvanize other people and influence, other folk in our space to be able to move that forward. The noise is always going to be there. You're always going to have the haters.
And so how do you build that camaraderie or unity amongst council members?
So, I mean, for me, I've already, there are a few that I've already worked with, even some of the candidates, I'm cordial with, I mean, how things work between, Mayor Walker and I, it is what it is. I mean, I've already spoken and said that, I'm always open to working together to do what's best for our community. But if that's not on the table, I'm still going to work with the other three folk to get what's done, for the best of our community. So.
I think that's an important question, important answer, because
Yeah.
when you think about leadership trickling down and you think about setting an example, and that's starting from the top down, that
Yeah.
applies to the people that work for you and with you.
Yeah.
It applies to the people that live here, and it really sets the atmosphere about how we'll move forward. So
Yeah.
I think that's it, just as much as determining policy and where to build and where to put money and stuff like that. But you are also responsible for fixing a
Correct.
city.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely, and I think it's. I mean, whoever's going to be mayor at this next cycle would have to set the tone for that. Going throughout the city. I know me personally. Like I'm in the projects. I'm in Prospect. I'm over on 6th Street in those spaces. So that, I mean, again, that's home for me. As far as I would like for other counselors to be out in the community in that space. I can't speak for them, but I know for me, I'm already out there and I'm already doing it. And I'll continue to do that and continue to Dr. Turner at Buford recently said that we need more Black role models in our community, and I intend to be one of those Black role models out there.
All right. So Brother Bellamy, we will take a quick break, and then when we get back, how about we get more into sort of the nooks and cranny on some policy ideas that you have, or I heard we know about some public dust ups, some disagreements, but between you, current council.
Yeah.
So how about we you actually talk about like what you would do differently.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So so y'all hit us up during the break if you have any questions or comments for Bellamy Brown, City Council elect. 434-422-9101 or online IMHO Talk Show. Y'all stick with us. IMHO Talk Show. Thank you for staying tuned. And we are here with Charlottesville City Council elect Mr. Bellamy Brown. So, Aaron, I think you had something we want to follow up on.
Yeah, appreciate you being here, Mr. Brown. It's funny because we always talk about like affordable housing, but I don't even think affordable housing exists.
Yeah.
And the reason is because it's always driven by economics. And when things are driven by economics, and I think that you'd probably agree with me, in the history of this part of the world, Black people, we get moved around like pieces on a chessboard.
Correct.
They'll say, you know what, we have the Negroes live over here, we'll have you guys live over here. How can we really address affordable housing without trying to develop some sort of economic system to where Black people live, that's actually an economic engine to where they're building businesses and things of that nature? Because to me, affordable housing just means we have to stick the Negroes here and then just not pay any attention to that. Do you have any ideas for what we can actually do to build businesses, create finance opportunities in Black neighborhoods so those neighborhoods can actually produce something, sell something, and grow something?
Before you dive into that question, can you define affordable housing? Someone asked me this last week, and it blew my mind that they did not really understand what that was.
Yeah. So I mean, affordable housing tends to be a spectrum that's a catch-all. I mean, you have subsidized housing that's a part of the market. You have other housing where it goes into low, middle income, and I guess the high income really doesn't matter because they've already got the money there. But it's really it runs a spectrum. It's not just public housing itself. There's different methods of public housing that's available there. But for those who can pay market rate, there's that middle income space up to some of the higher end. So it covers several different spectrums, not just if that answers your question. Or
I understand what it is, but for somebody listening who may not. All right, if you want to chime in on Aaron's question.
So how do we do it in the Black space? So I know that there's in terms of like business generation, entrepreneurship, I know that CIC has a few courses that are out there. It's kind of the entry level. It's not as robust, and I know that there are a number of businesses that have started through that. I have a cousin who actually has one of them who's on I guess over by the Wegman Shopping Center, JBD Catering, and then some other family members who have been in there. So that's an opportunity, and we have to grow that and amplify that. But in addition, some of the low-hanging fruit are your trade jobs, and that we can do through K-Tech and through the PVCC program. I know that one of the guys out at PVCC has the Network to Work program. Now, as far as getting it in, I mean, let's say the space of like a Cherry Avenue opportunity. I mean, we would obviously have to, rent or purchase some of those buildings to be able to have those, those storefronts that are there. I mean, Angelics obviously has one, which she'll be at my event later today. But I mean, there are a number of things that are already out there. It's just plugging people into it. And I think that what I've heard is that there's not a lot of information that's given to the Black community. There are a lot of resources that are available to us, but nobody's telling us that they're out there. So, making folk more aware of those and connecting, to what's already existing and amplifying that a bit more.
I think, and I appreciate that. I think what happens, and you might agree or disagree, is that we're always reacting to the economy.
Yeah.
And we're falling behind. So we're not the drivers of the technology.
Yeah.
We're reacting to the technology, and then we're knocking on the door, say, hey, can you let me in?
Yeah.
As opposed to figuring out ways how we can create our own economic value in our own economic communities. Because when you're always in that position, there's no way you can even have success because you're always following the lead of somebody else. So
and that's one of, when you look at coming out of the Civil War or coming out of slavery, and some of our pioneer Black millionaires, I mean, they were doing that within the 5 years of coming out of that space. You look at A.G. Gaston and folk like that funded some of Martin Luther King's work and things like that. Like that's an opportunity for us, and that's been a space to where if we can catch on to it, we can do some great things with it. So I'm not a follower by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My grandfather was a home builder here, and he helped, folk, he would build their homes and help them obtain financing. That was his contribution to affordable housing in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And that, that blood runs through me as well. So it's really, we have to be informed of these opportunities and really have the hunger to go out there and take it. I know for me, my intent is to let everybody know, what's out there, get everybody, on board. But we have to do that other part of taking those steps to be able to make that thing work, because things are moving quickly around here in terms of the economy. The next 4 years are going to be very, very pivotal for us as a community across the board, but definitely for us in the Black community.
And Max, did you have a follow-up as well when it comes to the relationship? I know you had mentioned earlier about with Mayor Walker, and there being some public disagreement. So I was just curious, as a Black female, I'd be interested to hear if you had any other take. If I know you're not a city resident, but but as you look at something like that, having a Black female in an esteemed position in Bellamy, how do you think that sort of needs to be handled, I guess, as far as do you think that would swing the vote, because you both are African American, but but at the same time it's you're trying to get into a position where she's sort of the head of.
I'm not too terribly familiar with you and the mayor's backgrounds. Let me just say that first. But again, like I said, the position that you are vying for right now is charged with running a city and kind of fixing a city. And so as African Americans that are looking on to this, we see a Black woman who has made a lot of positive change, right? And that change in her position right now speaks mounds to all of us, right? It lets us see our strength. It lets us see it helps us to understand that it's okay to stand on our own sometimes in a lot of our decision making, and just seeing the strength of a Black woman and knowing that we can function in those type of positions and be just as successful as our white counterparts. Now, what we also would love to see is we don't want a platform where we see our own disagreeing with one another and not really being able to come together and help and set an example for the city and to help move the city forward. We really truly do want that. And so it's one of those things where a lot of people will view you as the opposition because you guys don't agree on some things, and they like what the mayor is is running on right now, what she's doing, decisions that she's making. And so I don't know how do you respond to that? Like,
I mean, so since I've come home, and I've already, like I said, we're both from here. I've reached out a number of times. What can we do to work together? What can we do to work together? That's always been behind the scenes. What the public saw was a response to some of those things. That response didn't come from me, so that wasn't initiated by me. I've always held it out there. What can we do to work together? So I can't control anybody else's actions. I've worked for strong Black women before, and have appreciated, their leadership. I think another strong Black woman is about to run for governor. Like, I have no issue with supporting Black women. So
yeah, I mean, and I just certainly don't want to make this conversation about the mayor, because the mayor's not here to defend herself,
absolutely.
and I certainly don't want either one of us to speak on her behalf.
Absolutely.
It's just that as a Black person, we certainly want to be able to see you all work together and really change the city, right?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And that's why I brought it up, because it's also for the other folks that are on the board, whether we're talking about West Bellamy, whatever the case is that, like Max said so eloquently, is like working together is so key. And for us to have like sort of public spats is the last thing that we want. Like we would hope that we are like-minded as far as with the end goal. And this is my humble opinion. To me, it's like turn a brother or sister down is never my repertoire. If we have the same end goal, we may not agree on how we're getting there, but we at least need to work together to get there.
Correct. Correct. I agree.
Yeah. So, and speaking of which, so we did have a question that came in through the lines of specific policies that aren't already in place that are going to help Black folk that aren't already in place. So so what policies are you going to that you would like to implement that aren't already there?
Well, I don't. So if they are already there, I guess my question would be, well, so here's my thing, and this comes directly from the community members. They're again, the developmental and recreational activities for our kids, they are not there. That's one of them. This aspect of job creation and amplifying the vocational spaces, those are not there, and that would be the other thing. So if those are there, I would like to know where's the connection between the community not receiving those services and the actual policy that's supposed to be there. So if there's a disconnect, that needs to be fixed. Talking to the people in the community, those haven't shown up.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Brown, was there any other? It is funny when you say Mr. Brown, right? So are there any, make sure we hit every topic. So anything we may have missed, and definitely let the folks know how to find you online or to reach out to get more information leading up to Tuesday. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you can go on, Bellamy Brown for City Council on Facebook. Our website is letter BB, number 4cc.org. We're about to have a meet and greet, random row with Angelics coming right now from 2 to 4. Definitely get out, vote your conscience, look at the platform, and really ask: are you represented in what the Democratic Party is presenting out there, or is there someone else that can come out and represent you?
Can I ask you a question real quick and inject? I said I wasn't, but that's just me. All right, what you just now said can be determined so many different ways. Because while you may say you said the Democratic Party.
Ticket.
But you're running as an independent.
Correct.
All right, now people are going to look at you as it's just is what it is. What are you going to do for Black people? What are you going to do for African Americans? And they want to know where you stand on Black issues as a whole, because I believe from the things that I've read that's been put out there is that while you may have grown up in these particular environments, it may not be your thing to represent them wholeheartedly and get attacked like some of the other people that look like you that have went against such things as the statue and housing and are you prepared for when they look at you to go against for people to be going at you like that?
Well, that's absolutely. Well, let's talk. I mean, at the end of the day, again,
let's talk.
Let's talk. Let's get it. So at the end of the day, like I said, I came back home to bring tangibles to African American folk. right now, no matter whether we keep the statues or we take the statues down, there's kids still don't have developmental and recreational opportunities. We still don't have jobs in our black community for our people to get ahead. And when you talk about the housing, let's take a section of public housing in particular, you have this environment that perpetuates a cycle of poverty. You have this concentration of crime and everything else. And then, I mean, what happens? You still got people coming in with a lot of money that are buying up everything and pushing people out, and we're pushed out further. So all the other stuff, if it's not putting food on people's plates, if it's not developing our kids, for the future, I don't have anything for it. This isn't about me. This is about the future generations. This is about the people that are living in this space, and what can we do tangibly for them, and getting them jobs and getting them involved in this economy are two of those things. I can't, if you can tell me how my concern over a statue is going to put some food on somebody's table or get our kids a better future, then I mean, I'm all for it. But I haven't heard that.
So what makes you an independent, Mr. Brown? Because a lot of that sounds like democratic ideals to me, right?
So what makes me as independent is because I'm not here for, when you look at our country as a whole, we're in this polarization space. We still have that here in Charlottesville. We had August 2017. I'm not here for the politics. I don't need a D or an R behind my name to go out and work on behalf of the people. And when you look at it from the local level, we don't need to have, it shouldn't be politicized to begin with. We're all talking about, the basic services that government is supposed to do. And the black community hasn't had those services done for them for such a long time under the Democratic reign.
All right.
Gotcha.
Good answer. All right. So again, thank you for coming in, sitting down with us. Did we touch on everything, or is there anything you'd like to elaborate on?
Well, I mean, I guess everything's out there. I mean, I do want to talk about, when we talk about the whole, policing thing and the nature of policing with the community, I have come from a background to where I have been profiled by law enforcement.
Okay.
And I had to go through the process of, maintaining my freedom and my rights, even when I wasn't at fault.
So is that one of your fights?
Criminal justice?
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
So do you agree with the CRB?
I agree with this, with the recommendation version, the second version that they had that came out there. The first one that was a bit more of, we want to discipline the police department, and that's not the route we should take. At the end of the day, what I look at is what's going to be the end result on the street, and police are still in heavily African American areas, and all that result, no matter what the added stress level would be, it's going to come out on the end to African American people.
CRB being the Citizens Review Board, for those of y'all that don't know.
Yeah. And when we, like, the front lines are happening every day in general district courts here in Charlottesville. Like, I mean, you go into them and you're going to see majority, people of color there, and we have to make sure that their rights are that they have their rights in that process. And some of these things just aren't being done. And you need two things to have a free society. You need to have physical freedom. That means the government is not locking you up or harassing you in some respect all the time. And you need to be able to participate economically. And until we have those two things, pushed off, I'm going to continue to fight for both of them.
Shouldn't we have more people like diversify the police department to where it's more mixture of black and white and brown people? Because I think, and it raises a humble opinion, is that you have people policing neighborhoods that they cannot relate to.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem comes with.
Yeah.
Because you and I can laugh, joke, and talk. You take a white person who really doesn't deal with black people, and it looks like aggression.
Yeah.
So I have a serious problem with that. You have people that they really need to look at where you come from before they send you to a neighborhood for you to police.
Yeah. Or at least be part of that neighborhood. And I know that there's, we have where police officers can't live in Charlottesville because of the rent and everything else. But that community oriented policing of getting to know the people that you are policing is something that we need to have.
I think that's a slippery slope, because just because the zip code matches where you're walking around, because we have gentrification. So when you're bringing in somebody from 98%, let's say, all right, Western Albemarle. You bring police officers from Western Albemarle to come over here to police Charlottesville. And they go into one of these gentrified areas. They cannot relate, even though they both hollering about, I'm from Albemarle County. So I think that's a serious problem.
No, I got you. I got you on that.
All righty. All right. for Bellamy Brown, running for city council.
He said he wanted to talk, Charles. He can talk.
Yeah, Charles, we talk.
Thank you for joining us. And you gave your information. Remember, y'all, election is this Tuesday.
Yeah.
Get out there and vote. Tuesday, November 5th, 2019.